look at that snapshot of how they operate on a typical day, and then go back in time and look at the design specs. And so between those two, there's a gap, and that's their efficiency loss. That's where they can get a win.
Larry, it's great to have you back on the Efficiency and Reliability podcast. Could you tell us about a recent project that you've been involved in and would like to share with our listeners today?
I was thinking about a major project we got involved with in the Americas. So it's an oil and gas site. And in their situation, they have an ongoing program for auditing their furnaces and fired heaters that are candidates for the next turnaround. And so they're always looking to project bottlenecks and how to help themselves. So they called us in, and we had our thermal efficiency group, those folks that do the auditing. They came into that facility and in conjunction with the site, took a look at the key heaters that were set up for this turnaround. So one of the heaters is a catalytic reformer. Now they happen to have two of them on site. This is the larger of the two. This unit is primarily set up for gasoline reformate to blend gasoline, but there's also a component of that that's dedicated to paraxylene, so that octane is also critical for them. So they have both gasoline production limitations they have to address and octane concerns. So our business model is to go into the facility, we'll take infrared images, look at that data on a typical manufacturing day, couple that with live process data, pull it from Pi or their software, look at that snapshot of how they operate on a typical day, and then go back in time and look at the design specs. Now, design specs would also include any kind of revamp work they might be doing. And so between those two, there's a gap, and that's their efficiency loss. That's where they can get a win. So our responsibility, identify that gap, and then go to the IGS menu of technologies and go through that menu and decide where we can have the best win for them from their efficiency standpoint.
It's good to hear about the gap analysis and how you provide solutions to improve efficiency. Can you elaborate more on the process of identifying the efficiency loss and selecting the appropriate technologies to address it?
Now, I should say that IGS technologies are all homegrown. So these are our own technologies, so we're the inventors, we're the owners, and most importantly, we're the applicator. So you're talking to the people that know where to put it and how to apply it. So that's a great tool for the customer. They get a full picture. So what do? We go back to them with this gap, we overlay the menu of technologies, and then give them a return on investment. We give them payback calculations. We give them all the things they need to understand how we can help them. Now in this particular case, the scale on the radiant tube was significant. So they had real heat absorption, severity problems, meaning they just weren't getting the throughput. So that in itself identified a win for them. Now on top of that thermal efficiency problem they have, we also looked at the convection section. So we're looking at the entire heater. And so our recommendation included convection section cleaning because it hadn't been done in decades. Now there's a big win for them there from a process standpoint. The second win is we have thin film ceramic coating for the radiant tubes, which is a great replacement for the scale, which is clearly cutting their production. And then we have a high emissivity ceramic for all the refractory surfaces. So now you've got three scopes that fold in together. And in this case, it gave them a 13.5% production increase.
It's really good to see how your approach yields tangible results for your clients.
And fortunately, by working with their process team, you could actually see where they could take advantage of that downstream. So for 7,000 barrels a day more product, they're in a great position to put that heater back into service for their unit. So worked out the payback, 9 months payback. Absolutely fantastic. Lowering their bridge wall temperature. Frankly, that amount of scale, they were losing wall thickness at an unacceptable rate on the radiant tubes. So we do the project, we go back in afterwards with customer data and validate it with their team that in fact they got all of those benefits. So they got their production increase of 7,000 barrels a day. They got their convection section back to essentially design. So all the way around, it's a win.
Can you walk us through how you validate the effectiveness of the implemented solutions?
In the justification process, they actually went back with us and we revalidated fuel savings. So just in case they couldn't take advantage of the production increase, they had some hydraulic limitations, whatever it is, they had that as a default. And even that payback was a year. So no matter what, they were going to have their money back in a year in the most conservative estimation, and quite a bit less than that with what their real plan was, which was to increase their throughput. So again, a great audit. They had options, overlaid our technology, went back afterwards, improved it, and now they've got flexibility in that unit for the next decade, certainly the next 2 turnaround cycles. So that's a good example of how you put IGS into your facility and get a win.
Thank you for sharing your expertise with us today. And to our listeners, if you're interested in learning more about today's topic or exploring the range of services offered by IDS, visit their website at www.integratedglobal.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for fresh content every week, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts.